So my volume control on my computer's just gone.
What do you mean it's just gone?
I mean, I can screen share and show you what I mean. I'm gonna do that. That's what's gonna happen right now.
Uh-huh.
So go ahead and
Yeah,
just
I'm
take
looking
this
at
in.
it. Isn't it the little... No, that's your Wi-Fi.
And here, so now I got the little arrow open that brings up the little box with things that don't fit. And
yeah.
do you see a volume control anywhere?
I do not. What's that blue thing right above where you're at right now?
That is some kind of graphic display thing.
Okay, that's not anything. I was gonna say look at the thing down and to the left, but that's just your Wi-Fi, so I got nothing.
Skype's online.
Skype is online.
I've got a window open for that, but why not put it on the start menu? Or whatever it's called. What do they call it now?
I don't know.
They call it the good luck menu?
They call it the Windows everything view of garbage.
I mean the setup is crazy. Like I don't know if I want to say it's worse than Windows 8, but it's probably worse than Windows 8. I don't know.
Well, how could it be worse than Windows 8?
I'm not sure. It's just okay. Well, like Windows 8 had some like we're trying this for the first time problems that you might be able to excuse. Like they did that horrible thing where you hit the Windows button.
Right.
And
I remember the Windows, but well, I mean, I've never had a system that ran on Windows 8, so
well yeah,
I've seen yours.
Yeah, you hit the Windows button and it changes from being a Windows desktop environment to a Windows phone environment or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't pull themselves away from that, even though they have less market share in the phone world than BlackBerry, which is very low.
Sad. Yes.
And so they almost pulled away from that in Windows 10. What they did instead is if you open the taskbar, or not the taskbar, if you click on where the start button used to be, which is now the four-panel button, the ugly Windows logo button. This is like 5 minutes of graphic work. Like, let's make a square that is tilted slightly forward at one side, and what we will do from there is we will draw a line through the center and the horizontal center.
It is one command on Paint.
Yeah. Windows. We made our logo in Paint. So it pops up with this, with the Windows Phone view in your start bar now.
Uh-huh. On your computer.
Yeah.
That isn't a phone.
Yeah, it's not a phone. I've got a touchscreen laptop, but I never use it because it's not a phone.
Right.
I'm trying to understand the touchscreen laptop idea. It's like...
Well, it's something else to break so that you have to fix it and pay lots of money.
Maybe. But it's like what? So if it's like a tablet, you're holding it and it's right in front of you, and you just you touch the tablet to do what you need it to do.
Sure.
Here you've got to lean across a keyboard, and I know they make them where you can like fold the screen around. Mine doesn't do that, so you have to reach over everything and tap the screen, which is significantly more work lifting your hand away from the mouse to do so than it is to click on the mouse.
I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should have gotten a better computer. That's what Microsoft would say.
Well, that's what they would say, but that wouldn't change the fact that I'd be running Windows 10.
Right, well.
No, I got the touchscreen with my computer because it was cheaper than one that I didn't want without a touchscreen.
What?
So, yeah, I don't. They must have really been pushing touchscreen laptops. I don't know why.
I have no idea. That's... I mean, it's the new thing. You gotta have a touchscreen because otherwise, what are you gonna do when you want to click on things? How will you click on things without a touchscreen?
It's
damn near impossible. It's damn near impossible.
What did we do before these wonderful advances in technology?
Next, you'll be asking for a fucking trackball. Oh, this finger strain. Wrist, carpal tunnel.
Well, no, I mean, it's like seriously.
Oh, so you are going to ask for a trackball?
Yes.
Okay.
Will you give me one?
Buy one at this. No, I won't give you one, but I will tell you that they can be purchased at pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, they still make them.
Yeah, they do.
They're optical trackballs now. I don't know why. I guess easier to clean or something.
I have no idea.
I'm sure they work fine.
Well, I mean, it's just an upside down mouse, basically. Yeah, because I don't know. It's.
I never understood those either, though. It's like I don't are they supposed to be more precise or something? Because it seems like it's harder work to move things around with one of those.
Well, there's certain people. Some people prefer them, from what I've heard. It's kind of like a personal preference thing, like kind of what you grew up with, so to speak. Is it's like riding a bike.
It might be. I remember trying to use one as a kid, and it was like you would use the trackball to move the mouse cursor, and then you'd go to click something, and if you didn't have the motor skills to not move your thumb while clicking even slightly, it would move it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they weren't terrible, but compared to even a wired mouse back then, I didn't see what they were adding.
Right.
Of course, I don't even know which is the older technology. I mean, I had a click mouse. I had like a.
It's the same technology. It's just, I mean, I don't know which came first. It's kind of a. I mean,
they
have the exact same moving parts, so I don't.
Yeah,
I have no idea which came first.
Like I had a mouse for my Commodore 64. It wasn't a trackball. I don't even know if you could get a trackball for that. I don't remember.
I have no idea.
To this day, I have yet to find anything that I could have used the mouse for outside of the old the Geos desktops that they had. Which
that was the only thing that I remember using it for. It's been so long I've forgotten the name.
I don't know how we ever got by on the Commodore 64 without an entirely separate OS built into it that you could click on and have like a touch screen set of tiles where all your files are arranged haphazardly. Like, are you looking at this right now?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. It doesn't look like there's any.
There's no order.
There's no.
Why is Minecraft here? I don't even have Minecraft. Why is this on my computer?
You can play and explore.
I have never played a game of Minecraft in my. I've never played Solitaire on this computer either, but apparently I've got it.
It's a brave new world of computing. Now take your Soma and shut the fuck up.
What is Zinio? Why is all this stuff on my computer?
I don't know what Zinio is. I don't know what Cha-Cha is.
Here's this thing that just says games. It looks like a.
It's the games app.
Wouldn't it just be a game app? What?
No.
What the heck is this shark thing? What is all this stuff on my? I didn't even know this stuff was on my computer.
I don't think it is. Your computer's surfing the web for you. Hey, you have a Windows 10 computer. You probably want these things. No, I don't. You probably want these things. Your credit card has been charged.
Okay, so here's an app I actually downloaded from their atrocious app store, FreshPaint. Uh-huh. It was not good. Like most apps on most app stores. I think I can count the number of good apps I've downloaded from any app store on one hand, and they were all Japanese dictionaries.
Yeah, pretty much. I have one Japanese dictionary, and I have BlackBerry Messenger.
Well, I didn't have to download that. I have a BlackBerry.
I know. But you will someday.
Yeah, they're moving to Android OS.
Yep.
Thank you, BlackBerry. So it's like one of my favorite things about the whole BlackBerry thing is like when I got it, people were like, "Well, you can't get any apps for that." And I'm looking at the BlackBerry World Store, and it's like, "Well, there's 200,000 apps on here. I think I can find what I need if I need anything."
Yeah, I mean it's a I don't know. I've seen people with like 5 or 7 pages of apps on their like iPhone or whatever it is they're using, and like 90% of them seem to be really shitty freemium games.
Yeah, I don't think I have any games on my phone. I downloaded that Sega.
I looked for games for my phone, and it was like looking into a desert.
It is. Okay, so especially like for some reason, even though
I think there was a Tumbleweed app.
Well, there probably is. There was that $5,000 app that you could get for the I think it was for the iPhone, where it was just a big red circle that said, "Hey, I spent $5,000 on an app." It was like the worst bragging right in the world that I've ever heard of.
Look at me, I am fiscally irresponsible. Look upon my credit card statement and despair.
It's like, are you a millionaire? No, you're not, because a millionaire wouldn't do this.
No, smart people wouldn't do this.
Even a moderately dumb millionaire wouldn't do that. That you would have to be like, it's like, oh, I inherited a ton of money.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a tax purposes reason to buy that app, but I can't think of. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that one's lost on me. But I've had so many conversations about how bad the app stores on all phones are, and that was the thing. That was like, one of the biggest reasons I ended up getting a BlackBerry was it was like, well, let's see, can I write things on an iPhone or on an Android phone? With the iPhone, it was like, well, you kind of can in some way, but you got to like do this weird thing where you need like Acrobat Reader or something, and you got to put it on your computer. And there's no file system on the iPhone.
No, that was the thing that surprised me. I remember when I first got my iPhone, I was like, oh, I will put a ringtone on this, but I don't want to use the App Store because paying 99 cents for a beeping sound is stupid. And so I went online and I found the ringtone that I wanted. I'm like, here is the file that I want. How do I download it? I can't download it. I can only play it. Can I play it to the thing to make it? No, I can't do that either. How do I get it onto my? Oh, I have to use a computer with iTunes. That's in another. I was on a business trip at the time, so I was 3 states away. And I was like, oh, I have to install iTunes on my computer in order to do this? Well, that sucks. Oh, I have to be at my computer to do this. That also sucks. Why isn't there just a way to save a file on this thing? And then I hunted around for a while, and I realized that there actually wasn't any directory structure anywhere that I could access. So it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember if there was on Android phones, because I had an Android phone, and I hated it. It was like every time I tried to do something, it was like I have a computer in my hand. I should be able to do things. And I tried to do things.
You'd think.
I couldn't do things.
Yeah.
I looked for a word processor, and you could spend $15 on the Microsoft Office thing for Android, which at the time I remember reading a bunch of reviews, and everyone said, yeah, this is garbage. And I wasn't going to spend $15 on garbage. And there was a bunch of freeware stuff, but it was also garbage. And it was the same garbage. I would have been happy just being able to type one font and save a file. So many apps on the Android store will make you jump through hoops just to save a file.
That's ridiculous.
And what I finally found when I started hunting through different phones was that BlackBerry came with a program on its phones called Docs. And it was just a document file. And it could read a whole bunch of different types of documents. Microsoft Word, Open
Office.
Open Office, yeah. And Acrobat files, I think.
Sure.
Either that or I think it came with Acrobat Reader on it, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it also had an app called Files, and that's your directory. You open that up, and even though you've got other ways, you can you can open the music app. And you can look through your music, and you can arrange your music, and you can change names in your music. But then you can also go to this file folder, and it'll give you all these folders that show where your files are saved on your phone.
Yeah.
And you can go through them, and you can copy them, you can move them, you can remote transfer them from a computer 3 states away.
Right.
You can download things to the phone. I mean, I'm sure you can do that on the iPhone now, but at the time it was like
what do you define download? If there is something on a website, I can look at it.
Oh, you still can't do that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I can just tap the screen and hold it for a second, and it'll give me a menu asking me if I want to download the file.
I can't download a file. I can add it to a reading list.
Yeah, no matter what it is, I can download.
I can hyperlink it.
And I just have this feeling that, like on the new BlackBerry Priv, you wouldn't be able to do that. But I don't know. I didn't look into it.
No idea.
But yeah, it's like so you've got an app store that's got 1 million apps on it on Android and iPhone. Probably more by now. I have no idea.
Yeah.
BlackBerry App Store, when I first got it, had like 100,000 apps. It's like, oh no.
Only 100,000 apps. Whatever shall I do?
99% of the apps on every single one of these phones is garbage anyway.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's BlackBerry, Android, or iOS.
So you only have 1,000 good apps to choose from.
Yeah, but compared to my experience on Android, it was like, oh, well, there's remote management apps, there's different camera apps which those were on Android, but it's like there were a lot more tools for doing constructive things on the BlackBerry store.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually what they did is they let you access the Amazon store, which surprisingly, everyone thought that this was going to be a great idea for BlackBerry, but when I first used the Amazon store, I think it's worse than the BlackBerry one in terms of quantity and quality. Like the Amazon App Store might be the worst one.
Really?
Yeah, it's. I'm pretty sure it's stuff you can get on Android for the most part, but it's like their own proprietary set of things that I guess Amazon approves or something. I don't know how it works, but
That's just super.
I've tried using a Kindle Fire. I've tried using a whole bunch of ways to use the Amazon App Store, and it's crap.
It's garbage.
It is total garbage. But in terms of games, I couldn't find good games on any of the systems. And especially from an RPG perspective, you would think those are the easiest things to program.
Yeah.
You could not find even a decent roguelike that would compare to the worst roguelike on an Apple II. There were some that were okay, but to think that you're sitting on a $700 phone that's supposed to be a computer in your pocket, and you just want to play a roguelike, and you can't find one that's a bit more advanced than something from 30 years ago.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of ridiculous.
Not even in terms of graphics, just in terms of no thought is given to how to move a character around on a screen, or any sort of way to make the random number generators make the game a challenge. And then inevitably and invariably, and a whole bunch of other ends, the games all have problems with the way that they save, and everything wants to save to a cloud somewhere or a server somewhere. It's like you buy the simplest game, like a roguelike, or like a it could be a choose your own adventure game. It doesn't matter. For some reason, you have to be connected to the internet for like 70% of them in order for them to work.
That's really bizarre.
So yeah, I never understood the argument that BlackBerry sucks because it doesn't have the apps that other phones have. Because like the only one I could find that people were talking about that you couldn't get either the equivalent of or the exact same one of on a BlackBerry was I think Snapchat and Instagram.
Oh yeah, like I fucking care about Snapchat and Instagram.
Oh no, there's something that I can't get for my phone that's not useful.
Right. I was thinking that you were going to say something productive when you came up with the app that you couldn't get, and I was like, oh, Snapchat. Oh, I don't care.
Oh no, it's there's I can take pictures, I can write, I had to download a drawing program. It did not have a drawing program on it. So I think Android comes with Google Draw on it. I'm not sure, but there's no good drawing program I've ever found on these phones. So now, with the exception, credit where it's due, I don't know if you can get it on the iPhone, but you should be able to. The iPad, that little image that I've been using for our YouTube discussion things, I drew that on Sean's iPad using the Adobe program that they put on there a couple years ago. And it's a pretty decent one. I mean, it's no Photoshop, obviously, but who's buying a tablet to do, high-end graphic work?
Yeah.
How much does that tablet cost is the question.
Yeah, probably a lot.
But yeah, Microsoft is sticking with them tiles.
They love their tiles. Everything condensed into a 64 by 64 pixel nonsense.
I remember, I think 6 or 7 years ago, everyone was always complaining about the PlayStation 3 doing constant updates, and the PlayStation 4 still does updates, but
at least it does it in the background.
Sometimes.
Usually.
But I was over at Sean's the other day, and we were trying to do something with his Xbox, and he turns it on. It's like it had another update, and he goes, "I just had to update this the other day. What is this? The new PS3 or something?" And it's just this. It seems like it's the result of Microsoft trying to integrate everything between its PC operating systems, its phones, and the Xbox. And they're not dropping the tile thing. The Xbox is this atrocious set of tiles. Even the PS4.
Yeah,
when
but
you go
who's
to their
buying
store,
an Xbox One?
Someone. Sean bought one.
I guess.
I think one of my nephews bought one. I think.
It's the only ones I've heard so far.
Like what's on the Xbox?
Nothing.
Right now.
Nothing that I care about.
Still? Didn't it come out before the PS4?
I think it did, yeah.
Well, you and I are pretty big exceptions. I mean, we're
not
playing
the rule,
RPGs that could have been on computers 20 years ago with slightly worse graphics.
I mean, I am, right? I mean, I'm going through Ultima 5 right now.
Well, I was referring to Stranger in Sword City.
Yeah, but I'm playing Ultima 5 more than I'm playing Stranger in Sword City. And frankly, Stranger in Sword City has a lot more... I mean, it has a lot more than 16 colors on the screen at any given time.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Slightly worse graphics, but a game that could be programmed on an older computer. So what are your initial thoughts on that game?
Sword City?
Yeah.
Oh,
you probably played more.
It seems good. It seems like they've gotten. So I'm kind of trying to compare it a little bit to Operation Abyss. So Operation Abyss has this one thing where your armor, the defense of your armor is equal to its level times its defense, and so those numbers get really big really fast, and it gets kind of ridiculous where you have like enemies that, baseline do like 600 damage per hit. And only because you're wearing level 27 armor that has 27 defense does it not kill your characters outright. It looks like they're not doing that in Stranger in Sword City. They're just, here's a defense stat. Which, I mean, is kind of nice because I hated having to calculate over and over again in Operation Abyss what the actual defense of the weapon was. They didn't calculate that for you. So it's like, okay, it's a level 26 weapon. Because if you're comparing two things and one's a level 26 weapon that has 14 defense and one's a level 28 weapon that has 12 defense, it's like, shoot.
So how did you figure that out, just out of curiosity? Did you have to look it up, or did you...
It was in the manual.
It was?
Yeah. It's one of the things that shows up while the game is loading, in addition to being in the manual.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, I went through a significant portion of the... Actually, I went through the entire in-game manual for Stranger in Sword City, and I kind of like the setup better than...
yeah, it's a little fresher.
Yeah.
I like the ambush system. That's kind of a neat idea.
I thought so.
It's kind of weird, though, that all of the ambush points are in isolated rooms, whereas you'd think that they would be, like, in a hallway where the transporters are going through.
Like, no, you gotta wait until they're nice and prepared for you. Then you ambush them.
Well, why would they be preparing in a big empty room? That's, like the first one has a sign. It's like, this is an ambush room for the adventurers. Why would they even go there?
Well, what's even better is when it's just a room with no other exit.
Yeah,
so it's like they were already in there. Yeah.
Well, either they were in there or they're just coming in there to like take a coffee break or something. I don't know. Man, this chest is heavy. We better stop in this room labeled ambush zone and have a piss break. I don't know.
They're like the reverse hero archetype of Superman. They can't learn as well, but for villain reasons.
Yeah, I guess so. Still, it's a fun system, and you kind of get to roll the dice, and if you don't like the dice, you get to roll them again, and it gives you a danger meter, and you're like, oh, this is getting scary, but it's not really.
Yeah. No, it's cool how they did a lot of things. I really like the life point system.
Yeah.
So normally I'll just take base stats and be like, whatever, here's a character, I'm going to start this character. But in this game, they gave you good reasons to like play around with the age of the characters and things like that. So like I had most of my characters were young, so they had 2 or 3 life points.
Right.
But I took one up to when you hit the 40-year-old level, you get
one life
like
point,
a bonus 7 points to assign.
Right.
So I have like one dwarf ninja character that's running around with this ridiculous stat strength.
Right.
And it's kind of cool. It's like, okay, that's you've got a really good character, but now you actually have to worry about them.
Well, the thing is that you can do that, but from a gameplay perspective, if you gain one ability point every time you level up, you lose that advantage in like 3 levels, basically, pretty much, right? And so, like realistically, the way to play that game is to have everybody have 3 life points and have them be as young as possible, because then they heal faster.
It's the other reason that I think it kind of works well is because when you have a character die on you, you don't have to, if they still have life points, you don't have to do this, but they give you the option of throwing them into a recovery ward.
Right.
And
to get their life point back.
And what I like about that is it like a lot of times I want to switch a character, but I won't have a reason to. It's like, oh, I want to try a samurai now. The swapping out of characters, and I thought it wouldn't work well at first until I realized that your characters are leveling when they're not in the party.
That is incredibly useful. I mean, that's the way it should have always been. Passive experience gains for while your character's in the dungeon. What are these guys doing? Are they just sitting around? I mean, they're not doing anything in most games, but now they're making money.
They could be out ambushing people in open rooms.
Yes, exactly. Well, closed rooms, as closed as possible.
Then you walk into the recovery ward and they throw money at you. That's always nice.
It is kind of nice.
It's like I needed to buy a katana for the samurai I had just put in my party. I was like, oh shoot, this character doesn't have a weapon. What am I going to do? And so I
Yeah.
walk into the recovery ward, and it's like, here's 331 gold.
Oh, there's the money.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take that.
I guess you guys don't need to eat, huh?
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I rule that guild with an iron fist.
Have you looked at the prices to actually instant recover anybody?
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
Yeah, they're insane. Like I looked at the price for the instant recovery of the life point for my characters, and it was 60,000 and 40,000. I have not seen anywhere near that level of money in that game yet, and I don't think I will for a long time.
Yeah, the game also makes you abuse those ambush rooms to get money.
Well, that's kind of the point, right? But I mean, you don't really gain a lot of money from them. I mean, equipment.
It's the only way you're getting enough items that you can sell to get money. Well, it's not just about getting the money either. It's
equipment.
Yeah, you get a lot of good equipment out of that.
It's a good way to formalize the grinding process, because normally in those games you have to wander around the dungeon and hope that the enemy that you fight drops the thing that you want. And in this, it's like, oh, I am looking for a new katana. Okay, well, they don't have one. They don't have one. They have one. All right, take them. Right. So it's a nice system. I like it.
I really appreciated the fast apply.
Yes, that
option.
is incredibly nice when you just have a bunch of people wailing on the enemies and no spells being cast. It's just like, oh, it was so great. When I first went into the Mausoleum of Forests, I got into this fight with like 9 ravens. And one of the things ravens will do in that game is they will call friends. I think I must have killed 60 ravens in that battle. Because I got like 6,500 experience points at the end of it, and everyone in my party leveled. And it's like they were just killing these little dinky ravens for like, it would have been like 20 minutes if I hadn't had fast apply. But it was like, these enemies can't do damage to me, and all I have to do is whack at them until they all eventually die, I hope. And no, I just used fast apply over and over again, and eventually they all died. But I got like a ridiculous amount of experience.
One of the things that I liked, that actually happened to me with earlier in the game. It wasn't quite that ridiculous, but those little worms that are crawling around in the Monument of Metal.
Yeah.
They had they would keep calling other ones, and I would keep killing them.
Yeah.
And I must have gotten through about 25 of them, and at the end of it, 4 of my characters all leveled.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't mind though. I mean, the leveling seems pretty quick, which is nice.
It might have been a mistake to make my main character a knight.
No,
they do not.
Well,
they do not go down easy. So it's like, for my main character at least, there's not much challenge.
Well, I mean, that's good because every time that my character, I picked a samurai and I don't have a lot of hit points, and my dodge is really low for some reason. So whenever my character dies, I just lose all of my money. It's just all gone.
Oh, I think I'll stick with the knight.
Yeah, the knight works pretty well because basically you have to pay. You either have to walk around with 5 people in the party, or you have to pay the money to get the hero revived.
And there's no switch in the hero once you've got one.
You can't switch the hero out. No.
All right, so I think I'll play the hand fate dealt me there.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we're all going to end up class changing our characters eventually, anyway.
I don't usually class change knights. It depends on I need a really good reason to do it.
Well, I mean, this game is limiting your class changing, and it allows you to transfer skills over. So, I mean, I think that it's going to be important in a way of evening out your party. But whatever.
I'll tell you what class I really liked in this one. I don't know if they had a real equivalent to the dancer in Operation Abyss. They had, what did they have? What did they call them? The scholars or something?
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of. The scholars were the thief equivalent, really. But there's no thief in this game. You just pick a talent, and hopefully that's good enough to unlock the chests.
I think they did a really good job with the ninjas and dancers in this game, because you could kind of play them. They were pretty versatile. You could play a dancer in the back or front row. Same with the ninja.
Yeah.
Like the dancers could use ranged weapons, or they could be in the front dual wielding swords. They were pretty fun so far.
Yeah.
And they have a good skill set. They're functional as healers if you're willing to keep enough items in your party.
Well, items are too expensive in that game.
Well, it depends. I mean, they give you that skill that lets you use 2 items at once. So if you buy a lot of the cheap ones, that kind of makes up for it.
Wait,
I was
game?
in a couple of...
Are we talking about Stranger, or are we talking about...
Stranger, yeah.
See, the potions are like 90 90 jewels a piece, and like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and in this game they got they got like some kind of candy medicine or something you can buy
To
early
recover
on.
MP, yeah.
Oh no, it was hit points. Recover hit points.
You mean the black candy? That recovers MP. I mean, there's
No,
there's
no,
other
I-
candy that can recover HP. Yeah.
There was something just below the potions in the
Yeah,
shop that
yeah,
was
I know what
cheaper.
you're
It's
talking
like 30 something.
Yeah,
but
yeah. But still, it's the amount of monetary income that I'm getting in that game is not nearly high enough to support an item habit.
well, those were cheap enough to where I stocked up on them. I had like 20 of them,
Uh-huh.
and there's been a couple situations where like my healer wasn't able to get everyone that they needed, or my healer was incapacitated for some reason,
I
and
see.
it's just like there's a skill that lets you use 2 of the same item on one character in one turn.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that
so
was
you get a pretty big boost to the healing, and eventually you get one that lets you use 3 and then 4, so
Yeah.
you can keep using the cheaper stuff.
They did that in Operation Abyss too, and in Demon Gaze, I think.
I don't remember a class being able to do that in Demon Gaze.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I saw it, but maybe I'm wrong. I haven't played that game in a while. I need to pick up a copy.
They tried to do something similar in I think it was Etrian 3 with the farmers, but
Yeah.
it was or no, I'm getting something mixed up there. No, they had I think what they were going for in that game was they wanted a class that you could make money with, that you could buy a lot of items with, and then like you could throw poison bottles everywhere. But the thing was, none of the items in Etrian were ever powerful enough to really make that effective, with the exception of the ones that let you give a weapon an element,
Yeah. Well,
like a
those are
fire bottle.
Well, those are in Etrian. Those were so expensive that they weren't really worth using that often. I would usually just put the person in my party that had that skill.
Yeah, the only real use that I mean, the farmers were pretty cool, but the only real use that I think I ever found for them was just having a party of 5 of them and going out and gathering stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've ever actually played Etrian 3. I'm still working on 2.
Oh, 3 might I would have said 5 years ago that it was the best one, but I think 4 and the 2 remakes of 1 and 2 beat it pretty good.
Uh-huh.
3 was really good though.
Yeah.
I put a lot of time into it.
Right. I still have a copy of it laying around somewhere.
I must have tried every class combination you can possibly think of in that game.
Yeah, I remember we had a lot of good conversations about that.
Yeah, where was Audacity back then?
It's still on SourceForge.
Yes. Why did we wait so long to do this?
Laziness?
Good answer. Good answer. Now this is gonna be a fun one to edit too, because we've already had two separate, distinct conversations about things.
Well, I mean, the whole thing could be just, dungeon crawlers would be the first part.
Yeah.
Then I guess we did talk about phone stuff for a while, so.
Well, we started recording when we realized that I needed to show you why Windows is stupid.
That's true. In fact, I think you can stop sharing your screen now. My internet bucket will get full.
Oh yeah, we don't want to kill the. We don't need full sloshing pails of internet.
No, I don't even have the capacity to carry them.
That bucket has a hole in it.
My bucket does. Yeah, I'm really enjoying Stranger. I picked up a copy of Dungeon Travelers 2, which is also really good.
Yes, you know it ranks up there with. Is there like a name for that series? That whole series of games? It's like Operation Abyss, Demon Gaze, and
They're just Experience Inc. games, I guess.
yeah, they're.
It's kind of what
Dungeon
that company
Travelers
is.
ranked up with those, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a
It actually had quite a bit of good comedy in it too.
it's good. I mean I'm what, chapter 4 or something like that, chapter 5 maybe, and it's been fun, and it's got a lot of really neat little things that your character can do, like weird like weird skills that you don't see in other games like that. So it's kind of nice. Like the wizardry formula is nice. I really like wizardry, but it needs to be updated sometimes.
Yeah, and Dungeon Travelers did a pretty good job of that. What was the there was that character that had a skill that would either hurt the party or hurt the enemies
yeah,
and
what's her
apply
name?
a status effect.
Yeah.
Things like that are always kind of cool.
Well, not so much that, but I was thinking once you class change the characters, they get a whole bunch of new skills and stuff like that. So, you get to kind of choose which path they go down for the class changes and stuff. It's pretty neat.
The characters were definitely a bit more vibrant in that game.
Oh well,
than,
I mean that's kind of the point. I mean that's what that series is. That's what that series does.
Yeah, like it gives you a good like the dialogue in it is all pretty good.
Yeah.
It's much more dialogue driven than the other games. Like the other games, you're just you're dungeon crawling. That's what
Yeah,
you're doing.
that's. I mean, it has characters that you didn't make, and so the authors of the game made the characters so they can have them have funny interactions. And there's enough of a variety that you can kind of like pick and choose which characters you want in the party and so on and so forth.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Personality never did anyone good in a dungeon crawler. Just ask the people that made the Etrian 1 and 2 remakes.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure those didn't sell well.
no, they were just terrible games. There was no, just awful, just awful.
Have you been playing 2 anymore?
I don't have to. You mean 2 for DS or the remake?
The remake.
I don't have the remake of 2.
Yeah, it's
You said it's really good. I've seen you play it. It's very good.
yeah. They did a whole bunch of really cool things in those remakes. By adding the characters that you don't get to create.
Right.
They took the RPG idea of. I mean, because the draw to those games was always, I can make my own characters, and I don't need the story that goes with a Final Fantasy or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they took this and said, well, no, we can apply that here, and I actually like it better than a standard like Japanese RPG.
Mm-hmm.
But they also added some nice touches. Like I showed you that one where if you leave the game sitting long enough, one of the characters will talk about how she's hungry and wants a piece of chicken or something.
Yeah. I mean, those little touches are always welcome.
Yeah, the Etrian series is probably the most what's the word I'm looking for? It's the most formalized version of the wizardry phenomenon.
What do you mean by formalized?
Fancy, not like standardized. That would actually probably go more to
the Experience
Stranger.
The Experience Inc. games are. I mean, Experience Inc. was making games that they were calling wizardry for a while until the owners of the wizardry label were like, you guys can't do that.
Well, they won't find any complaints from me. I have enjoyed those games more than anything recently.
I like a good dungeon crawler every once in a while. I kind of go in phases where there's like a phase where I don't play dungeon crawlers and then I go back to playing dungeon crawlers and I just cycle.
I used to play a lot more different games. Now it's all dungeon crawler and strategy games.
Yeah.
Then the occasional roguelike.
Sure.
Etrian took the dungeon crawler, the wizardry style dungeon crawler, and made a really good phenomenon out of it.
Sure. I mean, they kind of, I don't know. I mean, it seems like they kind of heralded a bit of a revival in that genre.
Yeah, and I have yet to find an Etrian game that I don't like.
Well, I mean, they're pretty formulaic.
I mean, even the spin-offs, like Etrian Mystery Dungeon.
Etrian Mystery Dungeon is excellent, though.
It's probably my favorite roguelike.
It is a really good roguelike. The way that they did it, the way that they did party stuff in it is pretty nice.
And I've seen some good party roguelikes. There's actually another one coming out soon. Maybe not soon. I just saw an advertisement for one.
Another what?
A roguelike where you've got a party of 4 or 5.
Those get really clunky pretty often.
And there was that Legasista one, but you didn't really have a party in that one. You could just switch characters, I think, was it?
Legasista. Did I play that? I don't know if I played that.
Yeah, you played it over here, and then you bought it.
Did I?
On PS3?
Oh, that, yeah, that's, yeah. But you could, swapping out characters isn't the same as having a, yeah, right, it isn't the same as having,
they
I was trying to
aren't all
remember what
attacking.
game that was. I'm like, I have so many dungeon crawling games, which one is that?
Izuna 2 did a pretty good job of it, with just the 2 characters.
Yeah, 2 is manageable. I think Etrian Mystery Dungeon is the first time I've seen 4 done successfully.
Well, I mean, I don't think Izuna actually had 2 on the screen. You could just swap. But yeah, Etrian did a great job with a party in a roguelike. And then there was... oh, this is killing me. I can't think of what that... I don't know if it was a new game or one that I just came across that might already be out. But I did see another one where there was a party of 4 wandering a dungeon. It didn't look like it was bad, but, you got to play it.
I don't know.
Got to find out what it is. We could just talk about games that we don't know anything about the existence of.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
So there's this game once that I saw, and it had stuff in it, but I don't know what that stuff is.
That's amazing. Have you
and I
played
don't know
it?
the name of that game. I have not played it. It is a game that has a name, but I don't know that name.
It may or may not exist somewhere in the universe.
I think it's on a system.
It's probably on a system of some sort, either a system or a computer, which is to say, a computer system
or a system of computers. It could be a network roguelike.
Well, you could have to put it up on a cluster in order to play it.
Wouldn't it be great to make a network roguelike where you had to wait for other people to take their turns? I would call it trolling the game. Hey, Knight, you awake there? He's AFK.
Well, I mean, there's a certain level of that. I mean, like, you ever play any of those old online MUDs?
Yeah, a long time ago. I enjoyed them a lot, but...
Well, it became a race to see who could type kill something faster, which was kind of irritating sometimes.
Well, I always tried to look for the ones where you weren't really doing anything like that. You were just exploring,
Yeah.
just to see how big a world someone...
No, but I mean, like, even the things that you were attacking would attack you too, right? Uh-oh. My computer just freaked out for a second. I don't know why.
Did the bucket spill?
I don't know. There may be a little hop in my audio or something. It got confused about something in it. Sometimes my computer, like, in rapid succession, spits out the something was disconnected sound, followed by the something was reconnected sound. It's like, I didn't do anything.
That's okay. It's it wasn't too big a process to line everything up. The time it takes is just the factor of listening to it and finding out where that point is and how much it's affecting is the only problem.
Yeah.
I'd say that I should learn more about Audacity, but I don't know. I think I seem to be getting it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool that is very powerful, but in order to use the basic parts of it, you don't really need a whole lot of skill.
Yeah, like I even considered there's a lot of sniffles and coughing in parts of our audio.
Yeah.
And there's a feature to flatten the noise.
Well,
but
the sniffles and coughing won't be flattened by... I mean, what flattening the noise does is if you have some kind of background that's just, like, constant, you can... What flattened noise does is for any sample, if that sample is below a certain threshold...
No. It flattens the wave. It flattens the sound wave right out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it
won't get the sniffles if they're too loud.
No, you can take the actual waveform that you're looking at in Audacity and flatten it to nothing, and it will make no sound.
Yeah, you can do that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you can silence any part of that you want. Yes.
But I'm not going to do that because I have Tourette's, and so I'll just edit out as much as possible. And
well, I mean, I could do it. It's my sound file. I could go through it one more time and.
No. I mean. If you go back and listen to our audio, I think I'm doing it more than you because I have Tourette's.
I don't know. I mean, I have a cold, so...
Yeah, that doesn't count.
What? What do you mean that doesn't count?
Your normal state is not to have a cold, so you're not making noise that... Listen. Nobody's paying us $1 million to do that. They can put up with us breathing.
I suppose.
No, nobody's even paying us $10 to do this.
That's also true. No one's paying us anything to do this.
Quite frankly, when I have an itch, I should be picking up the microphone and just scratching my back with it.
That would be a great sound clip. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I need some free time to get a bunch of different sound samples of things. One of the things that I'm finally going to be able to do... so I've got that Apple II upstairs.
Yeah.
I am going to set that down and record every sound coming out of it from the time I power it on through about 5 different games, and just get like 20 minutes to an hour of computer sounds from it, like the sound of the disc rotating and the clicking of the needle and the just all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I can finally make a text adventure in which every new screen will load to a noise like that.
Uh-huh.
I've wanted to do that for a long time.
That sounds like a good idea, I guess.
Like just to recreate that feeling of sitting in a dark basement and playing an old Commodore 64 text adventure, and you go to the next screen and the disc will spin and you hear the noise. And
Well, you can do that. All you have to do is play a Dreamcast game, and it'll do that too.
Well, it won't do the multi-clicking like tick tick tick.
No, it won't do that because it just has a CD-ROM drive. But it is a loud CD-ROM drive.
And then you won't get the reading sounds either.
No, you do. Yeah, every time I play anything on my Dreamcast, it's like okay, I am switching screens. Okay, it's switched screens.
That $100 Dreamcast is no longer up there.
It isn't. That's a shame.
No, it's not.
Did you buy it?
Yeah.
Nice.
See, the thing was, I was going to get a temporary Japanese one until I could afford the full package, and then I thought, well, this is the same price as a Japanese one, basically.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I technically have it. I don't have the full Sakura Wars Dreamcast set, but that will happen.
They sell controllers. They sell the controllers in separate packs.
Oh, I know that. I was going to buy 4 of them when I
4 of
eventually
them?
got one.
It's a one-player game.
I'm going to have to get Power Stone.
Oh.
Why would you have a Dreamcast and not have Power Stone and Power Stone 2?
Well, I mean, if you only play it by yourself, there's not really much reason to have Power Stone.
That's a good point, actually. I still have yet to get anyone to play Nitro Plus with me. You're like the only one that's even interested in it.
I mean, it's a video game that looks like it'd be fun to play.
Or you could just get a Microsoft Gold account. There's lots of nothing to do there.
Why would I want to get a Microsoft Gold account?
Because that would give you an excuse to buy an Xbox One that you don't need.
I don't need an excuse to buy an Xbox One because I'm not going to buy an Xbox One.
Yeah, nobody is.
No one buys them. They are garbage.
I like to think that they phased out their Xbox 360 because too many people were buying that as opposed to the Xbox One.
Right.
But nobody's buying that either.
No.
Those days are over. No, you really, it all just comes down to, which system is going to have the RPGs I want to play?
Yeah.
And that, without fail, has been Sony. Oh, did you see that Tokyo Mirage Fire Emblem game?
I saw the picture of it on BlackBerry Messenger. I haven't actually looked into anything on it. I don't have a Wii U, so...
Yeah, so it's not actually Shin Megami Tensei crossed over with Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
It is a game that has elements that are kind of like Shin Megami Tensei.
Uh-huh.
And that's in the sense that you're summoning Fire Emblem characters to fight for you.
Uh-huh.
So they're replacing the demons from Shin Megami Tensei that you would always summon.
Uh-huh.
But it's not actually a Shin Megami franchise as far as I can tell. Like,
I
Alice
see.
is releasing it, but there's no characters in it that I recognize from any Shin Megami game. The game itself might be similar, but even that doesn't look like it's... I kind of got the impression that I was looking at Akiba's Trip when I saw some of the images from the game.
I don't know.
It's a game where you're trying to become, I think, a pop idol group or something.
What?
And you're also fighting bad guys using Fire Emblem characters.
That sounds train-wrecky to me.
It kind of does, because first off, I was sold on the idea that so I bought the Wii U because they said I was going to get a Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem crossover.
Yeah.
And then what? How long has the Wii U been out now?
Years.
Yeah, so they announced this like 2 or 3 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and they didn't actually show any footage until last year.
Uh-huh.
And last year when I saw the footage, I was like, well, there's a Pegasus Knight, but I don't recognize any of these characters. That's the only thing that I see that resembles either of the games.
Uh-huh.
I thought, okay, well, it's not coming out just yet anyway. We'll see what happens. And it started to get to the point where I was like, this is turning into one of those projects that's just going to keep getting handed off, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now it looks like it's just a Fire Emblem game.
Yeah, well...
I can only really complain so much, though. I mean, how often do I even play games anymore?
Right.
Yeah, it's like I'll play for an hour, and then I'll go and open a book somewhere.
Oh man, books.
It's a pity. I do love my video games. I've ordered so many of them, and none of them have been finished.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to finish... I'm trying to finish stuff. That's all I can do, is just keep plugging away. I gotta finish Tales of Grace's F, which was way better than I expected it to be. And then I gotta finish... I guess once I finish Tales of Grace's F, I can get back to Superhero Chronicles.
I might actually dive into that first, and then I'm going to go through Zestiria and a couple more PS4 games,
yeah,
and then at
Zestiria.
some point... I do have a collection of PS2 games I want to check out, but none of them are really high priority.
No, well, I'm actually, I never actually finished Resident Evil Code Veronica back in the day, and I have a copy of it on my PS2, so I've actually been tinkering with that a little bit too.
I think that might have been my favorite one.
Well, 4 was way better in terms of gameplay, but I mean,
It wasn't the same type of game, though.
well, I mean, it was a better game.
I watched Brandon play through practically that whole game, and I think I just liked something about the clunkiness of the older ones, and they felt more like you were playing a text adventure, and the newer ones kind of felt more like you were doing a cinematic sort of game.
I guess.
I liked the atmosphere that came about in the older games better.
Huh.
I feel like
RE4 has a shit ton of atmosphere. It is really nice.
It does, but I feel like there's a difference in the type of suspense. Like in 4, it's a lot of the suspense was, you're going into a room and it's like, oh crap, am I going to be ambushed by like 20 guys in this room and have to fight them off? Whereas in the older games, it's like even one enemy, it was like, is something going to pop out and attack me, and I'm going to have to hurry up and figure out a way to deal with it. Like, you weren't always sure how you were going to deal with it.
Yeah.
In those games. How you dealt with things in Resident Evil 4 was usually pretty straightforward, with the exception of, boss fights, but,
Yeah.
of course. But in the older Resident Evil games, one of the things that you had to worry about was, well, am I in a position where I'm going to be able to turn and aim a gun quickly enough?
Uh-huh.
And it kind of made the fear factor more satisfying to me.
But that's a bad reason to have a fear factor. Can I turn quickly enough to, tank? Because I am limited by tank controls is a bad way to incite suspense in a game.
Well, it's not just that. It's so you would walk into a hallway, and you'd be like, well, shoot, I can be ambushed pretty easy in this hallway, and there's something different about the kind of suspense.
Oh no, I mean totally. Like Resident Evil 4 has plentiful ammunition and stuff like that. So relatively plentiful ammunition. So I mean in RE4, the worst that's going to happen is that you're going to run out of ammo for the weapon that you want to use, and you have to switch over to something else. But like, and that scarcity is of course very good at increasing that kind of fear factor. But I mean, as far as like. You'll be playing you'll be playing one of the earlier Resident Evils, and there will be a zombie like 3 inches away from you. You're like, shoot him in the head. Just shoot him in the head. I know you can shoot him in the head. Why can't I shoot him in the head? Whereas in Resident Evil 4, it's just like, point, shoot. Okay, his head's gone. Good, I got it. I got this one.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you had to be able to do that in Resident Evil 4 because you're being attacked by multiple people at once.
Yes.
And of course, I'm partial to the type of zombie that's slowly moving towards you while you're like, oh, what is this guy doing?
Well, I like that type of zombie better too, but I mean, it doesn't.
I think Resident Evil 4 was more of an action game. I don't think the old ones.
It is definitely an action game, but Resident Evil, the earlier Resident Evils were, I mean, what would you call them? Like puzzle?
I always called them text adventures that you happen to be able to interact with the environment in. That's how I always viewed them, and that's why
I guess. But I mean, I don't know. There's something deeply dissatisfying about having the materials to take on an enemy and not being able to do it because the game control is shitty.
Yeah, but I never cared about the. It's one of those things where I didn't care so much about how the gameplay was in terms of the mechanics of control. It was I wanted to be able to turn off the lights and sit back with a scary game and just enjoy soaking myself in the atmosphere.
Yeah, but Resident Evil 4 you could do that with. I mean, it was.
Well, you couldn't do it the same way. Like it wasn't the type of game that. For one thing, it didn't make a difference if you had the lights in the room on or off. You weren't creating an extra layer of.
Oh no, I totally disagree. I totally disagree. There were some places in Resident Evil 4 where if you were in a dark room and you were kind of like, they would get that loud kind of that loud pulsing music behind it, and you'd be like, something's coming. I know something's coming, but I don't know what, and I don't know whether I'll be able to take it on or not. Because there were things in Resident Evil 4 that would just kill you in one hit if they caught up to you, and so there was a lot of I mean, there's a lot of action hero bullshit that was really awesome. Like you would run into a house and climb up and jump out a window, and like throw a grenade behind you and jump out a window. Like that shit was awesome. Whereas in like Resident Evil, I mean, like, okay, so what they could have done with the earlier Resident Evils is they could have just made ammunition really scarce. It's like, yes, I only need one bullet to take on a zombie, but there's 20 zombies in between me and my goal, and I only have one magazine, right?
Yeah.
Or they could have, there's a lot of things they could have done that would have, I mean,
I won't deny that the controls are clunky. It just, to me, like think about how many other games were really
no, but I mean, I got a lot more into System Shock 2 than any of the earlier Resident Evils, and they came out in similar time frames. And System Shock 2 was incredibly atmospheric, and it was a first-person shooter. Well, with RPG elements.
I mean, chances are I would feel the same way about that, but I've never actually played System Shock 2.
Well, that is a scar on your record, sir.
I have a lot of those these days. But most people aren't going to blame me once they see my Saturn collection.
I suppose.
No, it's I have the weirdest collection of games.
Well, so do I, in the sense that everything that you buy, I pick up a copy of because it looks interesting.
I can't believe we both own Yumi Mix.
Wait, no. Why do you not believe that? Yumi Mix is one of the ones that I'm not. Yumi Mix is so good.
That's the thing, though. It's like it is good. Now try to explain that to someone that they're gonna think you're crazy.
It's a goofy children's storybook, and it's funny and hilarious, and I mean, for the time, it was really well done. It's all animated, and it's all voiced, and it got really expressive characters, and there's lots of choices that you get to make throughout it, and some of them don't do anything, but they're always funny. It's a great game. It is a great fucking game.
Yeah, I think Brandon actually has the original Sega CD one. I gotta check. He said something about it. Yeah, when I bought it, it was just something that was sitting on a shelf. I was like, oh, this looks up my alley, and I had no idea what it was. And
it looks like something, and it's an interactive storybook, and it's great.
Now you know how you tell people about that game, though. You try to explain to them what it is and why you think it's great, and then when you're done doing that and they have the expression on their face that you would expect them to, tell them that you own the limited edition.
Well, why wouldn't you own the limited edition? I mean, come on.
I've actually never seen it not in the limited edition.
No, you can see it on eBay in the non-limited edition,
but then again, I wasn't searching for it after I bought it. So.
Right, exactly. I searched for it because I had to buy it. We played a half hour of it, and I'm like, okay, I'm sold on this game. I have to get a copy.